Hello, good morning, and welcome to the latest episode of Fantasy Football Scouts Breakfast Club, where we discuss our plans for the rest of the day. And of course, because the game week started on a Friday night with quite literally the biggest bang that the Premier League has seen in about 25 years, we're going to talk about last night as well. For those of you who've managed to somehow avoid noticing what happened last night, Leicester beat Southampton 9-0. Yes, 9-0 in one of the most ridiculous matches I've ever watched in my life. And of course, there were managers out there in possession of Vardy, in possession of Maddison, Tielemans, Chilwell, all of these players smashing the points in. But then, of course, there was plenty of us who just had Ricardo Pereira, Chaglar Soyuncu, just stood there and watched as everyone else banged the goals in. And one of those people is Luke, who's joining us on the Breakfast Club this morning alongside Karam. Let's come to you first, Luke. Yeah, Ricardo Pereira, you were telling me before we came on air that you've always been a big fan of Chilwell, but you thought, you know what, it's Pereira's time, and look what happened.
Thanks for that introduction, David. Thanks so much for that. Yeah, what can you say, man? I'm a little bit hungover this morning. I was out on a leaving do for a work thing. So to be honest with you, I haven't seen the game at all. But I do know that I'm the most unsociable person in the world because my phone was blowing up non-stop throughout the night with goal notifications. So I didn't really get a chance to check. I think I checked at 7-0 and saw that he had no involvement whatsoever. I thought, oh my God, I've paid the extra for this guy because at the end of the day, he's a defender, right? You can't count on having attacking output. But Pereira is certainly one of the most attacking fullbacks in the league, I think. And yeah, like you said, previous seasons, I've had Chilwell lots of times. He's kind of sort of failed for me, though, to be honest with you. Usually they have this habit of just conceding that one goal, and he's always had good stats, but he never really sort of came through with the end product. A few assists here or there. But obviously in that game, Pereira, nothing. Chilwell, what did he get in the end? A goal and two
I think
assists,
it
or was
was
it more?
19 points in total, I believe. Yeah, goal and
Right.
2 assists, and the absolute freedom of Southampton to just do whatever he wanted in that position. Because
Yeah.
I've got to be honest, I think Hasenhuttl said to the players, "Look, don't mark Chilwell. He's in my fantasy team." That's the only thing I think explains it, because it was bonkers,
It was
completely
that bad,
bonkers.
was it? Okay, I'll be interested to watch it. But yeah, it's just one of those fantasy things that seems to happen at the moment, isn't it? What can you do? There's not much you can do. I paid the premium. He scored 2 goals in the last 4 weeks, I think it is. Most creative player, defender, sorry, for Leicester last week. In fact, he might have been the most creative defender in the whole league last week. I'm pretty sure I'm right in saying that. And what can you do? Just what can you do? Got 6 points. One player, 6 points. Positives.
Yeah, I
Yay!
suppose. I mean, you're. I mean, I'm someone who I had no Leicester players, so I mean, it was even
So,
harder for me. I mean, but I mean, the thing is, as much as I know the frustration of the situation you're in. I mean, you are not alone at all. I mean, there's so many people out there that just had some of those defensive players. I mean, to be honest, even having Maddison in that game was frustrating to watch. I mean, he didn't actually contribute very much. I mean, obviously he scored a fantastic free kick goal. We all know his quality from set pieces, but it's measuring your expectations, isn't it? If you see the 9-0 scoreline and you've got an attacking player, even if they're a wing back, as you mentioned, then you're hoping for something, and then it's not there. And I mean, personally for me, I just think you look ahead to next week, Palace away. It's going to be a completely different game. So I mean, players like us who are sort of sat here without some of those Leicester attacking players, is not, as you said, there's not much we can do. We're not gonna jump on these Leicester players for Palace away, because this is just a completely different game, isn't it? I mean, let's talk about the rest of your team. As much as it's sort of frustrating what happened last night for most of us, we could potentially see quite a big win for Man City this afternoon. That's what we're hoping for. Anyway, talk us through some of the decisions you made with your Man City triple up, your captaincy, and some of your other decisions as well, Luke.
yeah, sure. So, I mean, I'm not overly chuffed about having Mahrez, who stands out there. He's probably my biggest worry for this week. Basically, I just need the guy to play. I think the guy is absolutely gold when he takes to the field. But having played, I think he played 90 midweek, and obviously this Bernardo Silva ban or not ban still looming. So I don't know what to expect. That's basically my only concern for today. Really, is I really want Mahrez to take to the field. Obviously, I don't have Sterling, which is potentially a massive issue if he plays, and he's going to be heavily captained, so it could really hurt. So I don't even care if Sterling starts. I mean, I've got him in Sky and stuff as well. I just really want Mahrez to take to the field. So that's my biggest hope for today. The rest of the team is just circumstances of where it's led up to. Really, nothing particularly directed towards this team. I'm aiming for 3 City and 3 Liverpool long term. However, I think I might have to bite the bullet and get Sterling and possibly shop Otamendi. So he's another one that we've got to worry about today, actually. I mean, I don't know what you guys think. Do you think he's actually going to get back into the team today? I'm not sure.
Yeah, let's
I
come to
think
you
he
on
will
that, Karam.
start.
Yeah, what do you think?
Yeah, I think he will start. We don't have center backs anymore, Luke. If you look at the John Stones, Pep spoke about him that it's not about him being first choice or whatever. It's about his fitness, and I think him and Otamendi will start today, and I hope, because it's a perfect opportunity for Stones to get a game time at home, his first start in the Premier League. Maybe he will get the cup game midweek as well to pick up some rhythm. Pep was speaking about rhythm, and Fernandinho can go as a CDM role. I think Gundogan played so many minutes in the last 10 days with Germany and Man City, and I think he's due a rest, but you never know with Pep. And I decided to play a challenge, a Pep Roulette challenge, and then try to predict the lineup. So I guess Otamendi will start, but I think it's an easy keep for the next 2 home games, and then you can reassess. Probably it's a good time to upgrade Otamendi to another Liverpool defender if you look for double Liverpool defense. That would be easier with 1 extra million, 1.5 extra to go to Robertson or Van Dijk. So yeah, I think he'll start. We'll see. Mahrez, I'm not so sure. I mean, it's always 50-50 between Mahrez, Bernardo, and Sterling. I think Mahrez played the Champions League game. He could get another start. He could be rested. Depends really on the mood of Pep Guardiola. We never know. I actually look forward to Aguero as well. He's my captain, and I got his ticket. We'll see if he starts or not.
There's going to be a lot of people riding on that, I would have thought.
Yeah.
I mean, I had the option, for example, just to take some hits and maybe get Sterling in for Mahrez, but then I'd have to take Aubameyang out on the process of that, and I just don't feel comfortable doing that. Even though he's not been great, it's home to Palace. I feel like that's something that could really punish me. I could have done that and slapped the captain armbands on Sterling, but then I thought, well, some people are saying Sterling might even get a rest. So if I do that, knowing my luck, it would just backfire. So I've just left it. It's the first time I haven't taken a hit in about 5 weeks, so we'll see if that works out.
Yeah, I mean, it's been one of those seasons, hasn't it, where we almost feel like we need to sort of change things up, because so much has gone, just not according to plan. I mean, just to bring the Leicester game back, I mean, that's just what happened with you with having, in inverted commas, the wrong Leicester defender. I mean, that's just been the case with so many people all season, where it's all the wrong players doing everything. So then it does make you change about, completely, shall I try something different? Hopefully this season comes good, but so much of it rides, I think. I mean, even though we're early in the game week, so much of how successful this game week is relies on this team news that we'll be getting in about 3 minutes, and it could change a lot.
You'd imagine the vast majority of not only casual but hardcore players are going to have at least 2 City, aren't you? 2 or 3. So it's just getting those right players and the right armband lined up is going to be so key. I mean, no, it's a couple of games City have had now. This has been the situation, and then they've gone and I don't think it's going to happen today, but they've gone and either lost the game or just underperformed or just got one to go. So that would be horrific for everyone, I think. So Villa have looked good of late, so it is a bit of a worry. But you've got to back City at home. Expected goals are always through the roof, and just watching them. Any game could be like 8-0. Hopefully they can do another Leicester.
Not with Leicester.
No, I wish.
Yeah. It's funny, isn't it? Because we were sort of saying before we came on air, you were saying it, Karam, that it's almost like Leicester winning 9-0 has put the pressure on fantasy managers, not necessarily Man City, to kind of sit there and kind of will the Man City players on to score as many goals, because we're definitely more reliant on the Man City ones than the Leicester ones. And it's annoying what a big result in a Friday night with some players who are still, I would say, differentials, probably less so now, what it means for the next day. You kind of it increases your stress levels, does it not, Karam?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't know historically how was it likely to have a team that is beaten 9-0 in 2 matches in a row in the Premier League. So for us as a fantasy manager, they were the ones who didn't get on Leicester defenders will rely on Man City next week. And I'm not sure actually how Southampton will line up, how they will decide to stay back, to tighten up things, to not to be embarrassed one more time maybe. And with the language of the expected goals, I think I have to acknowledge that the expected goals does not work with Leicester. It pretty much works with everyone, but not with Leicester. Because if when I checked the understat and I saw the expected goals for Leicester, it was about 4 goals, but they managed to score 9, so that's more than the double. While Man City always put goals pretty much around the expected goals, so they are scoring what they have to score. And Luke, you have also another stat about Leicester from game week 1 to game week 8 with regards to expected goals. So Leicester doesn't really believe in it, or doesn't fall under the theory of the expected goals. But now I look forward to the next week. Now I opted for the triple City attack with Aguero, KDB, and Sterling, and I hope first they start all of them this game week and next one. And yeah, no pressure, Man City. 9-0 is a historical record, so they can do it. We'll see.
Well, the team has now dropped in. And,
Start from the front 3, please.
Not again, Pep. You are sorry. That's my personal reaction. But I'm going to start from the back. Because I just don't want to acknowledge it. Right, Ederson in goal. Back 4 is Mendy, Fernandinho, Stones, and Cancelo. So Otamendi on the bench. We've got Gundogan. We got David Silva, I believe. De Bruyne as the midfield 3. Bernardo and Sterling flanking Gabriel Jesus and Aguero.
Oh no!
So no Otamendi, no Mahrez, and no Aguero.
Oh no! And it's a home. Aguero usually starts the home matches. That is just Pep, no.
So that's me 2 players down already. Fantastic.
Yeah. Well, I've captained Aguero, so yay! Thanks, Pep. Yeah, I mean, I've Sterling starting. I mean, that is good for most people, but just what?
Yeah.
It just shows you, like, at the end of the day, so many people come up with all these theories, and some of them have, I think Aguero started like every home game for God knows how long.
Since like January 2017 or something.
You just can't. There is nothing. I just want to say it once and for all right here. Pep. The expression "Pep is going to Pep." It is a thing. He goes to the match and he literally tells us every time, I pick the players that I want particularly for that game. Now, people draw their own patterns from that. They say, well, Jesus has played most of the away games. He needs him when he does press. He even says, like, when he's pressing and Aguero in small spaces. Gives you little intricacies into what he's thinking. But at the end of the day, he will look at that individual match and he will pick the player based not just on the opponent's tactics, but also the form of his players. That's what, some people do that. They don't just stick with reputations. And Jesus, to be fair to him, has been in fantastic form. So, there you go. Pep's decided Jesus is the better option right now. Yeah. So what can you do?
That Aguero thing, it was not really expected. I mean, the last time Aguero did not start a Premier League home match was game week 22 against Wolves without injury concerns. That's last season.
Yeah.
And tactically, Jesus was better for Guardiola, for high pressing, for specific skills or something. He does not really need the high pressing against Aston Villa at home games. Yeah.
We're just being victim to a squad now that is just so good in so many areas that it's a decision to be made in every position pretty much across the pitch for him. I mean, we're kind of lucky Sane's even out. Imagine if he was back as well. It's just Sterling, it would just be ridiculous at the moment. So I don't know. I guess the answer here is the problem we've all got is that they can win in nearly every game 8-0, can't they? So we all want a piece of that pie. So it's like, what should we do? Should we just get rid of City assets and just accept the fact that they're going to score loads of points here and there, but we don't know who it's going to be? Or should we just carry on what we're doing, load up and hope we hit the lottery? I honestly don't know anymore. What's a good option? Because a lot of the time you're relying on your bench, and you've got people like Lundstrom who seem to be able to get points from nowhere. Maybe it's a good idea just to pick these people who won't play. I think Mark, for example, brought in Mendy. He's been benched, hasn't he?
Mendy and Cancelo.
Well, so actually, Mark brought in Mendy and Cancelo. And they've actually both started. So I mean, to be honest, that absolutely smacks of just a complete stroke of usual Mark Southern's genius, doesn't it? I mean, just because in this game, they're going to provide so much width, those two players.
Cancelo's been excellent of late, really, really good.
Yeah, they're going to provide a lot. They're going to provide a lot of. I don't think they're going to do well today. We should just for posterity, let's go for the Aston Villa team as well, which is. Less shocks here. It's the usual stuff. Heaton in goal, Target, Mings, Engels, and Gilbert. There was sort of slight concern over whether or not Target was going to play. I think he's definitely started. So then in midfield, we've got Nakamba, Douglas Luiz and McGinn. So slightly more of a defensive midfield trio than usual. Harahan's usually sort of in there alongside the other two, but Douglas Luiz, former Man City player, of course, and Nakamba, more defensive players, McGinn there as well. And then the front three is Grealish, Trezeguet instead of El Ghazi, and Wesley. So, less really to upset managers there, but worth just mentioning. Let's come to your team in more detail now. Karam, obviously, looks like you are also in there with the Aguero captaincy with me. Yeah, just what is the game week? Is the game week gone already? What's your thoughts for your whole team?
Is the game week over? I think I don't know. To be honest, I can't think of anything now. I mean, Luke,
most importantly, who's your vice captain, Graham? Who's your vice captain?
KDB. So okay. I hope 5-0 at halftime. No need for Aguero. KDB gets 30 points, and I'll get Soyuncu from the bench. I mean, stay positive, Luke. You have the 6 points in the starting 11. I have him on the bench. I benched Soyuncu as a first sub, and I just bought him last night. I thought that there is no way Aguero would not start the Premier League game, given the World Cup midweek, Cup game midweek, World Cup, the Cup game midweek, and that surely should be for Jesus. And Aguero plays Southampton game at home, and now it's all over the place now. Have no Leicester attack. I have no Liverpool attack apart from TAA, which put me in really hard situation. And yeah, I don't know what's gonna happen. I mean, if Man City are struggling in this game, then Aguero can come on the last 30-35 minutes and he can do some damage still. But I don't wish to have him the last 10 minutes for a cameo. That would be really, really hard to take. Sterling, he starts again. I thought he's the least to start amongst the three, so I was not even considering him for captaincy or vice captaincy. So now I hope the other 10 do miracles to save me this game. That's all what I ask now.
I'm pretty sure Sterling's going to go ballistic now because, like I said to you just before the team was released, I could have taken that hit to get him in for Mahrez, but I thought there's a chance Sterling might not play and Mahrez could, and then what's happened? So I'll be very surprised if Sterling doesn't go ballistic now. He just seems set up for it. God, it just moaning non-stop this season. I really hate it. I'm trying to be positive all the time, but I feel like I just end up moaning nearly every week. So I need to sort it out. I think I'm just going to bin all City assets apart from Kevin De Bruyne and just be done with it. That's what it feels like. Maybe keep Sterling. He's about the only one who seems to be there or thereabouts, which I suppose isn't too much different than what we knew game week 1. If you go back to game week 1, everyone's like, look, you get Sterling. You don't mess with Aguero, Jesus. You don't mess with any of the wingers because they'll be rotated. Kevin De Bruyne was the only kind of unknown factor because of it coming back from an injury. But it's largely come to pass. Kevin De Bruyne's their best player. Sterling seems the least sort of likely to get rotated. And everyone else is just a minefield. So maybe we had the information. We just refused to ignore it.
I mean, I feel like an idiot, to be honest, because game week 3-4, was it, that I kind of, like, Aguero did quite well. And I said, you know what, I'm not going to go in on Aguero because I don't trust how often he's going to start. And then he went on a run of games where it looked like we could predict 1 week to the next when he was and wasn't going to play. Nice run of home games as well. And then Pep just didn't follow our logic rather than his own, because we had one particular game where he didn't play midweek in, I think it was either the Cup or the Champions League. So we thought, oh, perfect, he's definitely going to start the next Premier League one. And then he didn't. Kind of goes back to what you were saying earlier, Luke, about the fact that he only understands the key, because he looks at so many different factors about the tactics of the other team, the tactics of his own team, the form of his own team, where they're playing, what shape their opposition plays. That is what dictates it, and we can never second guess that. So, it's so annoying because I should have listened to myself. Like you said there, we had so much of this information at the start of the season. I even came out and said game week 3 or 4, I'm not going to go for Aguero. He then continued to do well, so I caved. And ever since I signed Aguero, every week I'm just team sheets are killing me. They really are, because it just and the thing is, you were saying there, Karam, about your team. You're looking at the other 10 players to maybe do you to help you out. I kind of look at my team and was thinking, well, I think Aguero is going to carry it this week, and now, who knows what's going to happen. I mean, I've got Sterling as vice captain, so if Aguero doesn't play at all, and Sterling's had a mad one, I mean, that's great. But of course, I also run the risk of Sterling having a mad one and Aguero coming on for the last 5 minutes. So
Yeah.
I mean, I've kept hold of Salah. I didn't want to get rid of a Liverpool attacker ahead of this Spurs game because I think they're going to do well there. But I mean, who knows? Salah didn't play the last game because he wasn't ready, and Klopp seemed to act as if we should have known that, despite the fact he didn't actually specify in the previous press conference. So, who knows what's going to happen there. I've held on to my Norwich double up because I quite like their next two fixtures, and I kind of fancy them to maybe cause United a few problems at home. I've only used one transfer. I moved Burn onto Rico because I quite liked Rico's attacking statistics. But it's just so much of this team was built around having Sterling and Aguero, and I can't honestly. I don't think since I signed them on my Game Week 6 wildcard they've both started at the same time, and other than the Wolves game where they were both rubbish. So it's just you're right, Luke. It's such a demoralising season for so many people where these 50-50s they go wrong, and the margin for error is it becomes so big. You get these little calls wrong, and the impact that has on your scores every week and your overall rank, and then your frame of mind to make the right decisions the next week is just massive. It just throws you completely.
It knocks your confidence, doesn't it? That's the thing. And it's like now we'll have the discussion, I guess, where he's not going to bench them for the. I mean, how can you remove Aguero ahead of a home tie? Is it Southampton they play
next?
That's
right.
Honestly,
yeah.
So we'll be in the same position.
That's the thing.
And it's like whatever you do, damned or do, damned if you don't. Like you remove, it's the problem.
Yeah.
How can you advise anyone to remove?
Is Aguero going to play the cup game? I mean,
Well,
I can't see that.
so.
He hasn't played the cup game last season. I think he played 40 minutes combined or something.
Karam, you're already trying to predict, man. Forget it. Forget it. There's no point. It's pointless. It makes sense that that now
right.
Aguero will play the cup game, but
I give up.
Who knows?
I give up.
I mean, you're absolutely right, Luke. Not only do I look at this as a knock-on effect for this game week, I look to next week and think, well, what do I do? Because you're right. You cannot take Sergio Aguero out for a home match against a Southampton team who just got completely smashed to pieces by Leicester on a Friday night.
No.
And again, just to bring that game back into the discussion, I look at that Southampton team and I don't actually see how that Southampton team lines up away at the Etihad and keeps it tight. Because you see a lot of teams, they have a really bad result, and then maybe in the next game they line up in such a way that they keep it tight. So for example, Norwich did that against Bournemouth. And you see it a lot of times where teams lose heavily and then they don't in the next one. But the problems that we're seeing with Southampton are so kind of... They've been present for a long time. So, for example, Neil in his Big Numbers article this week was just highlighting the fact that they've conceded more chances down the right-hand side than any team this season. And we saw it, the last Friday night game they played in against Bournemouth, it was as if they had no one at right-back because Hasenhüttl took a left-footed centre-back and played him on the right. And that was never going to work. So then Josh King and Dominic Solanke just had the freedom to do what they wanted. Ben Chilwell and Harvey Barnes had the freedom to do what they wanted. So, I mean, to be honest, I'd captain Mendy next week, to be honest, because he's going to have the freedom to do what he wants. But the point is, I just cannot see that Southampton team, if they still have the same manager, they don't have the personnel to go there and defend well. So Man City will thrash them next week, I'm certain of it. And it's just going to come down to this same thing again. Is Aguero going to start? Because if I keep him and captain him, he'll get benched and come off for 10 minutes. And if I sell him, he'll score 5 goals like he did against Newcastle. So it really does just... The knock-on effect is so frustrating. It's one of those things that just... I don't know what to do next. I've still got
He's also going to lose price. People are saying he's going to drop tonight maybe as well.
I mean, that's the thing. People will move to Vardy. I mean, I predict that a lot of people will move to Vardy, who will then potentially blank away at Palace, who defensively are fantastic at home. 1 goal conceded in the first 4 home matches. Then they conceded just 2 to Man City. So it's going to be a tight game. It's just going to frustrate everybody. They're going to go Aguero to Vardy, and it's going to go wrong, isn't it? That's just what's going to happen, don't we think?
Yeah, I'm kicking myself for not getting Vardy on my wild card. I mean, the whole purpose of wild card in Game Week 9 is to actually jump on the Vardy party. But then I looked at the fixtures and I thought there are 2 fixtures I don't like in their next 3, which was Burnley and Crystal Palace. And he managed to nick a goal against Burnley. I was concerned about Southampton, but not to this point. Is even the Vardy owner didn't even expect the 20 points from Vardy in this game week. And Vardy is still something to plan for Game Week 12 against Arsenal. That's decent time to get Vardy in my team, but probably I will pay 0.5 more because of the price rises that he will get between now and Gameweek 12. And I hope Wilson does some, because I picked up Wilson over Vardy. So I hope he does Messi thing by hat-trick or super hat-trick to make things up. But as long as this doesn't happen, I probably made the wrong choice big time. So.
Yeah, just like I said before, I feel like I'm trying to move my team to consistent players who are going to at least play and probably get you, like you, I wasn't overly confident on Vardy massively scoring, because he'd only actually done it in a couple of games. I think Newcastle was one of them. There was one other he got a brace in. I can't remember who it is, I think. And that's where most of his points have come from this season. And obviously, like, his stats are low. We know Vardy's a stats buster, but they weren't great. I mean, the stat you were talking about before was between game weeks 1 and 8, Leicester have got the second lowest expected goals from open play in the whole league. Only Newcastle were worse. So you have to get very, very efficient. But at the end of the day, Vardy plays every game. And someone in chat saying that right now, he's playing every game. You know what you're going to get from him. And he's going to be fairly consistent. And I feel like to stop this rot at the moment and keep playing this lottery, which I keep losing, there will be people winning this lottery. That's what annoying me. Like, there were the people that are absolutely smashing it. But I just need to ignore that. I need to bring in the Jimenez's, the Vardys, the people who are just the Trent Alexanders, the Robertsons, the people who are just going to play every game. I know they're in my team and they're good for points over the season. That's what I'm aiming for from now. And I'll probably, as a result, now miss out on the massive 15-0 Man City win to Southampton. That's probably what's going to happen.
Yeah, it is tough to know what to do, and yeah, so much of it is just, it's down to the factors that we use in our decision making. We just can't predict the future. I mean, effectively, we just need a crystal ball. I mean, that's the only way to get through the Man City situation at the moment, is we need one of those. But hey, that's FPL this season. I mean, we've seen smatterings of it in previous seasons, especially when Jesus first arrived in the Premier League and really knocked the Aguero movement off its perch. In quite this, because it used to just get Aguero and captain him every week, you'd be fine. It's been a long time since that's been the case. So yeah, it's just another one of those seasons. We just have to take it in our stride and hope for the best for next week. That's about enough time that we've got to chat for today. Thank you to Karam and to Luke for coming on and discussing quite a tough season, quite a tough Friday night, and now a tough Saturday morning. So I appreciate you guys coming here and wearing your hearts on your sleeve. Thanks everyone in the chat who's been contributing and watching. Good luck to everyone today. You are gonna need it, all of you. That's FPL this season. If you enjoyed some of the stats we've mentioned on this video and some of the stats we used last week, don't forget you can always sign up for Fantasy Football Scout membership. The link is in the description below. And next week we will still have the Scoutcast and our Captain Video Team News video. It's worth saying that Joe is on a bit of annual leave. Someone suggested yesterday maybe he's become a victim of Pep Roulette. Well, I suppose he's become a victim of Fantasy Football Scout Roulette. He's having some much earned time off. So with Scoutcast still go ahead. I'll be hosting that on Tuesday night. We'll still have our Captain Video and our team news as well. So stay tuned for that. And as I said, good luck for today. So it's a goodbye from me.
Yeah, goodbye from me. I'm off to rage quit.
And goodbye from me. I will watch Man City and then log off for the weekend.
Goodbye, everybody.